Welcome, everyone. You've joined us for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you grapple with, really getting a handle on managing all those projects, prioritizing them when resources are tight. We're looking at some really interesting material here, outlining a system that uses a tool called Costbars. It's designed to bring some clarity, some efficiency to project portfolio management, PPM, basically.
Exactly. And it's more than just like a list of projects, isn't it?
Yeah.
What this material details is really a strategic framework, guides projects right from the start through to selection. So our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to pull out the core ideas of this Costbars PPM process and, show how it helps organizations make smarter calls about what's in their project pipeline, moving from just being overloaded to being, well, strategic.
Okay, let's step back for the big picture then. Project Portfolio Management, or PPM. This material defines it as a process for overseeing all those growth initiatives that an organization has. It's where, the business side and the IT side have to connect. But when it comes down to the crunch, deciding which projects get the green light, who holds the purse strings.
Yeah, that's senior management. They're the ones making the call on where the project investment goes. And like the material highlights, these decisions aren't just made once a year. It's often monthly or quarterly,
Hmm.
maybe annually sometimes. It really emphasizes that PPM isn't a one-off thing. It's dynamic, ongoing.
Right, always changing. So this cost bar system seems to break it all down into steps. And the first one that jumps out is prioritization. They talk about a P score. What's the main idea there?
The P score, yeah. It's all about figuring out how strategically important a project is. Think of it like a rating, 0 to 100. It tells you how well a project lines up with the company's big operational strategy.
Mm.
100 is like a perfect match. And this is so crucial, right? Because if you don't know which projects actually fit your goals, you could end up, well, wasting time and money on stuff that doesn't really help,
Mm.
like sailing without a map, almost.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So how do they actually calculate this P score? Sound like you need some inputs.
You do, yeah. For every single project, doesn't matter if it's brand new or already running, you pick these alignment values.
Hmm.
And you do that across 4 key strategic areas. The material mentions you can punch this data in quickly using spreadsheets or just use the forms right inside Costbars. What's neat is you can also like reorder these values. So you can show which strategic areas matter most to your company right now.
Interesting. And what are those 4 strategic areas, the ones feeding the P score?
Okay, so first up is investment category. It was basically classifying the project type. Is it maintenance, growth, compliance, that kind of thing. Then investment initiative. This ties the project to specific big pushes the organization is doing. Third is investment objective. So what are the specific goals? What outcomes are you shooting for with this project? And last, investment strategy. This looks at the overall strategic fit, the approach the project's taking. So yeah, the P score comes directly from how well a project stacks up against those defined strategic pillars. Got it. Strategic alignment first. So once you have that P score, what's next in cost bars? There's scoring using their algorithm for a C score. How is that different from the P score? Right, the C score. That comes after the strategic check. This is where the system looks at a broader set of data points to evaluate the projects. And the material really hammers home, you need accurate data here. Things like project costs, the hours people are putting in, how big is it versus how complex, and other key details. Metadata. The cost bars algorithm then takes all that, computes a score. It brings a level of objectivity,
Sure.
compared to just gut feelings. Consistency.
And I noticed the scoring criteria aren't the same for all projects. It depends if they're already running or just proposed. Why is that?
Exactly. Good point. For those projects already underway, the algorithm looks at things like current status is a green, yellow, red, and its health across cost, hours, issues, risks, schedule, scope, the usual suspects, plus that risk versus size and complexity ratio and the overall cost and work sunk in so far. But for new projects, it's different. It focuses more on the proposed status where it is in the approval pipeline, that same risk versus size complexity idea, but then estimated cost and work. And also the ROM estimate, that's the rough order of magnitude, like a very early guess. And the estimation class, which probably relates to how confident you are in that initial guess.
Yeah.
It just reflects that you have different info available at different stages, right?
Yeah, that tracks. It's also interesting cost bars flags of certain business case fields are empty. What are they pushing for there?
Yeah. They highlight some really critical things like, is there a senior level commitment?
Mm.
What are the expected benefits? Is there a solid cost benefit analysis? Also, any key constraints or assumptions? And crucially, what happens if we don't do this project? The consequence of inaction. It really pushes for a strong justification for every project. They even mention you can manually get AI to analyze the business case. That's pretty forward-looking.
Definitely. So, okay, so you've got all this data, P scores, C scores. How does Costbars actually help you see it all, make sense of it? I gather there are different views.
That's right. Two main ways to look at things. First, the tabular view. Think of a really powerful spreadsheet. It gives you that comprehensive, detailed look. You can see everything. Edit info for ongoing projects, planned projects. You can filter, sort in advanced ways, compare projects easily side by side, even do bulk updates. Great for digging into the details.
Okay, the spreadsheet power user view,
Right.
and the other one, cards view.
Yeah, the cards view is more visual. It really focuses on showing resource demand and giving you a quick snapshot of project status and progress. It's designed to be more intuitive for just like tracking things at a glance, quick access to the key stuff. So tabular for deep dives, cards for that quick overview, different tools for different needs, basically.
Right, catering to how different people might want to work. And it sounds like they aim to keep everything together.
Exactly. Next big one is leveling. This is all about resource allocation, making sure you have the people you need when you need them, basically. And the material stresses, you've got to think about project dependencies first. Make sure project B doesn't start before project A finishes, if that's required. The leveling view itself gives you that top-down look at total resource demand over time. It's laid out on a timeline. And it's interactive. You can shift things around and see the impact on resource load in real time.
So what can you actually do in that leveling view? What are the features?
Several key things. You can literally drag and drop projects on the timeline to adjust start and end dates. It shows dynamic graphs of resource use so you can see peaks and troughs. It flags over allocations where someone's assigned too much work, helps you spot those conflicts immediately, and it offers resource smoothing, trying to balance the workload more evenly.
The final step seems to be selection. And they use a bubble chart for this. How does that help make the final cut?
Right, the bubble chart. This is kind of where it all comes together for the final decision. That size versus complexity rating, other metadata, and crucially, both the P-score for strategy and the C-score for overall health and viability. The tool itself is built to favor projects with high P-scores, keeping that strategic alignment front and center. It also checks if you actually have the resources available based on the leveling step, and it can even suggest which projects to select based on the inputs, recommendations. Plus, it keeps a record. Why was this project selected? Why was that one deferred? The rationale is documented.
And where do you actually see that selection decision? Is it clear in the tool?
Yeah, the material says it's visible in both the tabular and card views. There's a specific selected column, yes, no, or maybe not assessed yet. And you'll see the P-score, C-score, other key data right there too.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on cost bars, we've walked through a pretty structured PPM approach. Starts with prioritization, that P score for strategy, then scoring the C score, looking at broader project data, followed by leveling, making sure the resource plan works, and finally, selection using the bubble chart to make those informed investment choices.
Exactly. And the whole point, the underlying goal of this kind of integrated system is to help organizations move beyond just juggling projects, to really make choices that are both strategic and realistic about resources, investing wisely, essentially.
So maybe something for everyone listening to think about regarding their own organization. How could having a single unified system like this cost bars approach for evaluating, prioritizing, managing projects, how could that really change the way you go after your strategic goals? How you use your people and budget? What do you see as the biggest potential upsides? And maybe what are the hurdles you'd expect to face trying to implement something like this? Definitely food for thought as you manage your own project pipelines. Thanks for diving deep with us today.